What's going on, guys? Sorry, but the other stream for some reason didn't work, so we're going to the other room. Head over to the other room, and you can start the live stream over there. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, we're live, but not on this stream. So I'm going to delete this one. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's not working with the other one, but we're live. Come on, tune in. We're here. Hello. I don't know what's up with the browser, but it's for some reason it's just not liking the stream. Kind of odd. No, you're just in time, Bangin. We just started. So here's the block. We're not going to worry about the block anymore. We're going to start on the head. So we're going to move things around here. I got to clean up a little bit. I've been busy with the baby, so I didn't have time to clean my work area. So I'm going to do that really quick. Oh, man. A lot of oil. Alright, we're going to slide the engine out of the way. And we're going to start on the head. Thank you again, everybody, for being patient. Just the baby was a little rough. She did not want to go to bed. So we got her, though. Well, my wife did. She's way better at doing this than I am. All right, let's get this motor out of the way right now. Again, sorry for the delay, guys. Just want to make sure we have a good, clean work area because the head is very important. Obviously, it's what's going to help your engine flow. I'll answer questions if you guys are going to ask them. Just give me a minute. I'll get there soon. I think we're good. Okay. So, slide this little station here. There we go. Now we're ready to work. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Sorry for that. What's going on? Hey, everyone. All right. I hope all is well. Congrats on having a healthy baby. Having issues with my 1.8 driving me insane. I can't find out. Can you help me try to figure it out? Well, Rebel gets them. What's the issue? What's going on? We have not just me, but other viewers that can help as well. I mean, we're all Mark IV owners here. We probably experienced it at least once in our Mark IV life. So definitely feel free to ask, and hopefully we can answer your question. For GSX 1000, if you want a top mount manifold for your car, look up SPA Turbo. I believe they carry one. SPA Turbo USA is the company. All right. So the head. This is an AWP head. Way you can tell is right here. Engine code also coincides with the head code. So AWP is stamped here. So let me give you guys a quick rundown right here. All right. Yeah, GSX 1000. Yeah, they should sell a manifold on SPA.com, SPATurboUSA.com. That is what you're looking for a big turbo setup. So these are your pretty much your splash covers for the intake side. Yes, intake. Don't need one for the exhaust. Need it for the intake. So make sure they only go on one way, just so you guys know. So if you forget which way they go, they only go one way. So those just go out of the way, no big deal. Now your cam caps is what we're going to be seeing here. All these guys, they go in one specific order, one specific way. So you need to put everything in order. You need to put them in the way they come off, come back on. All of them go in a very, very specific manner. A lot of people mess up and they'll put the caps in different spots, and what will happen, it will cause the cam itself to scuff or not rotate correctly. When these engines get put together, they're mated for life. Once they go in one spot, that is it. They don't change ever again. That's the place where it stays, and it stays there forever. For Jason Felosi, yes. If this is a blank stamp, if you come over, remember this is the front of the engine where your cam is. Go over to this side, down to the block on the bottom portion of the block. It's dirty, but I'll show you really quick. Give me a second here. It's a serial number. You're going to have to research that serial number. But right here. So remember, this is the head on top. The stamp over here for the AWP is right here. So if you come over to the block by the oil cooler, this right here, if you scrape this off, there's a serial number on the block that will tell you what block you have as well. With AWP, AWD, AWW, AGM, AGU, BAM, depending on what country you're in. That will tell you which block you have pretty much, okay? So hopefully that helps. So your car's overheating, Rebel. What about the radiator? How old is the radiator? What coolant are you using in that engine? You better say G12, because if you're not using OEM coolant, there's pretty much part of your problem. All right, I got to go get the Torx for this, so I'll be right back. Give me just a second. All right, cool. So to remove the cam caps, it's a T30. Okay, guys, T30. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna break loose everything. We never take them off all the way. Always break everything loose. And that goes from, this is AWT, this is the AWP, this is the VTEC, if you want to call that. It's the variable valve timing, the VVT, on an AWP head. Give me just a second here, guys. Which in all honesty is completely useless. But it's on there. For Jason, G13 is perfectly fine. So for Rebel against, when you drive, when you're at a standstill, do the fans turn on? I need my phone closer to me. Sorry, guys. So I can read your guys' comments here. So, Rebel, do the fans kick on while you're at idle in the driveway, not driving the car? Answer that. Oh, my goodness. What's underneath here? Oh, this pulley is making it spin. Okay. All right, I gotta get this pulley off in a bit. That's why it's making it move so much. And if it's the original radiator, you are due for a radiator, man. That's an old ass radiator. It's probably got a couple clogged rows. Okay, this thing's driving me nuts. Give me a second. I gotta take off this pulley. That's gonna suck. Okay. So for Rebel Against, thanks, Banging. For Rebel Against, the fans don't kick on while you're idle. So there's your problem right there, honestly. You're honestly, probably the fans don't work, and that's why you're overheating. You're going to need to figure out either the fan, there's a coolant temp, a fan control switch that's on the radiator. You might have to replace that. So do that first. See if that fixes it. It's on the side of the radiator by the fan controller. Replace that sensor. It's pretty cheap. Now, what I'm doing right now is just breaking loose all the cam caps. I'm not taking them off. We have to take off the cam gear right now. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I hate taking this stupid gear off. And that one uses a 16 millimeter. And then obviously it won't come off because you have something holding it. So we need to put some reverse tension on it. This is what I hate doing. The good thing is that these gears don't go on super tight. It's just a nuisance. So this bolt is a one-time use bolt for the cam gear. So remember that. Put the bolt back in, just so you remember that you need to replace it. Make sure you use an ARP bolt whenever you get back to that point in your job or your rebuild. Especially if you're going to be going with power, you can't be using stock hardware where it matters. No, banging, not the fan module. There's a fan sensor on the actual radiator. So for Rebel Against, if you replace that sensor and it's still overheating, the next step is to replace the radiator and do a really good coolant burping. Now, for Rebel, what did you do to burp the system? Did you actually burp the coolant system when you replaced a bunch of stuff? Okay, so everything's been removed. Now, this is the trick, okay, guys? When you finish taking it down, remember the order these go in. Oh, see, how do you burp it? What's going on, Wayne? So to burp a coolant system, you turn on the car. Obviously, you fill the system up with coolant, and you let the car get really hot, and you take the coolant ball, the reservoir. You're going to open the cap open, and you're going to let it run for almost a half an hour. Okay? And what's going to happen, it's going to, all the air bubbles that the water pump is going to push around the system, it's going to make its way up to the reservoir, and it's going to come out. That's what we call burping the system. Once you, how can I explain? Once you run it and it starts to boil over, turn the car off, put the cap back on, let it sit for a couple minutes, turn the car back on, open the reservoir cap, and see where the level is at. If the level of the coolant ball or the coolant is really low, just add more coolant. Obviously, it's going to spill because you just had it boil over. It's perfectly fine. Your whole goal is to get coolant bubbles out of the system. You're going to lose coolant, but that's fine. That's the whole purpose of what you're doing. So you need to make sure you keep that in mind. Okay, so I put my cam gear against the back. And then obviously the caps are going to coincide where they're going to be going. Front of the engine, back of the engine. So this is the back. So we're going to start in reverse, and we're going to do this. Okay, let me show you guys something. You guys can see this. This is a cam cap, and this is the second one. Right here, there's a little arrow. You see that? Okay, that points towards the back, towards the exhaust side. That's the indicator that you know that this cam cap is going this way. Now, on the exhaust side, there's a pointer going to the front. Okay, that's how you know when these caps are pointing, are in the right. They're actually kind of facing each other, like that. What's funny though, you can install these backwards, and what's going to happen is when the engine cranks, that wear pattern that's underneath here, because these wear very specifically, is going to go in reverse, and it's going to cause a really bad, what we call like a burn or an overheating, and your oil passages are not going to get oil in them, so that's going to suck. Just to give you the heads up on that. And you end up frying the cam, and that's the end of that. For Rebel Against, the fan should kick on once it hits 190 degrees on the actual thermostat, and once it decides to go over the temp. Now, when you turn on your AC, both fans kick on due to the fact because you're running AC. That means those fans, the module itself is working correctly. However, you might not have the fan trigger switch when it's hitting the proper temperature to kick on. So you might have a bad fan sensor, which is fine. They're dirt cheap to replace. However, if you have a bubble in the system, you might not be getting coolant in the areas where you're supposed to be getting coolant to trigger that sensor correctly. So it might give you false readings. Okay. Coolant systems are kind of weird, but they're very straightforward, so it's not that big of a deal. If your fans don't kick on when you're in the driveway turning it on and they don't turn on at all, there's a bubble or the sensor's gone bad. Now, if you replace the radiator and then you replace the sensor and it's still giving you the issue, then the fan module has gone kaput as well. That's your next step. And I would probably recommend swapping out your coolant temp sensor as well, just to be safe. Now, everything you buy, okay, better not come from an AutoZone. If you do get it from an AutoZone, you order it from IMC. Do not buy their stuff that's in stock in store. Their cheap Chinese parts will give you problems. I guarantee it. All right? You have been warned right now. I feel no pain, and I will not be sorry if you buy cheap stuff. All right? But you did it to yourself because you went cheap. That's just to be honest with you. Everybody on here knows that I'd rather have my car down for a week than to put cheap parts. I'd rather take the bus to work, than put cheap parts on my car, and that actually cause more problems down the road than be beneficial. I'm just giving you the heads up right now. Okay, good man. All I've ever done is change coolant temp sensors once because the blue low temp light stayed on. I got a temp sensor from ECS. Okay. Jason Felicity, I've only had my turbo Espeedo since February. I've never heard of the fans run. Don't really drive a lot, mostly short trips. Never had overheat light come on either, though. All I've ever done is change the coolant temp sensor once because the blue light temp that stayed on. Okay. Banging. So my brother's A6 decided not to start and blow black clouds. Ugh, that's a lot of oil. That's oil in the exhaust. More likely the turbo seals are gone bad, or some oil's getting somewhere, maybe a bad valve. Get this channel 10,000 subs with no videos. What could cause a 1.8T to misfire on startup? Idle. It doesn't matter at all. 2K RPM, but if it's idling, it misfires and cell flashes. If I rev it a little over 2K, it won't stay. Ooh, interesting. What have you done to the car? Okay, replace the plugs, cam position sensor, redid wiring for injectors, swap coils, and injectors. Okay, have you done a throttle body cleaning? Check the spark plugs and see if there's any oil getting in them. Check your MAF sensor. Have you pulled any codes? Get this channel. Hey, get this channel. Have you pulled any codes, anything at all? What have you gotten besides the misfires? Anything else? Anything odd? Any specific codes? Maybe a throttle body code? Because if you get a throttle body code, you might need a realignment on the throttle body. That does. The misalignment on the throttle body will cause a car to misfire and actually not turn on, just FYI. All right, so cams are completely removed. And now we just got to get them out. The tensioner, I think is, oh yeah, that's what failed on this engine. I remember now. The cam tensioner failed on here. Let's see here. Okay, this is coming out. This one's not. This one's jammed. I don't want to pry on this at all. All right, so let's slow down on the comments, guys. Hold on. Give me a second here. I got to read you guys' comments. You guys are asking stuff way too quickly. I can't catch up. Let's see here. For Wayne, it has a tune, BDT, sputters but dries fine if you baby it under hard acceleration. Usually, if you have a tune and it's sputtering, fueling might be a big issue. So I would definitely check your fueling. Spark plug gap is also a big issue, and timing can be a big issue as well. Looking for someone to tune my ECU, but don't want to pay a fortune, then don't tune your car, Jason. A proper tune costs money. Sorry. But if you want a good tune, hit up Trent Smith from Boost Dynamic Tuning on Facebook or online. They'll get you right. Let's see here. You're welcome, Rebel. Hopefully that works out for you. Let's see here. This is for Get This Channel. I'm also having issues with a coolant tank overfills. Spills coolant while I'm driving. I already tried bleeding the system and replacing the thermostat. For Get This Channel, you might have a clog on your radiator. I would definitely pull the radiator out and flush it and see what comes out. All right, Wayne, check your timing. It might be an issue with timing, but double check your fuel pump and your fuel lines and your fuel filter. Very, very important. Especially when you're starting to tune and you have an original pump, things are going to start failing quicker than normal. This thing is stuck in here. Ay, ay. Don't want to do this. Oh, wow. This thing's seized in here. What's going on? There we go. Yeah, so this is for Dalen White. What's my all right, hold on, before I answer Dalen, Axel, I prefer an OEM belt over a Gates. I mean, I have an OEM belt right now for my big turbo setup. For Dalen, thoughts on the Mark 6? I love it. Buy it. Just remember, it's a high maintenance car, so have fun with that. Yeah, get code for bank 1 and 2 sensors. It runs great with stock tune. Yeah, probably because the stock tune is very low parameters. How old are those O2 sensors, Wayne? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to show you guys here. This is what actually I remember now what failed on this car. This hydraulic tensioner failed. You should not be able to push onto this all the way to the bottom by hand at all. The tension on this is pretty much gone. And I remember that's what actually caused the failure on this engine. I remember now. So this is junk. I know you got a fat groove in here on both sides. So this is already officially donezo. You cannot reuse this. So that's trash. It's another $200 part that I got to replace. But if you want to build a good engine, you got to do it right. Here's the seal. This is the infamous half moon seal here, guys. This seal is one of the most annoying seals to replace because it's hard to get to, but it's very important to get to it. So, and that sits right here. Pretty cool. Trash. All right, time to get the cam chain off. And we're going to inspect these cams for anything that looks bad. So now when you inspect a cam, two things you need to look for on a camshaft here, okay? What we're looking for is bluish gold, like hot spots, to show if the cams were damaged at all. Something like what we call like an overheating. And when you look at this cam, it's beautiful. There's actually nothing done to it. The lobes are here are not flat. They're still very round. So that means that the maintenance was done on this engine very well. So the oil changes were pretty consistent. They weren't pretty much They weren't never behind on their changes. And one way you could tell if an engine's actually going bad, or they lead or have bad oil changes, this would be like a really dark brown on the inside, and that's when you know that someone is neglecting their car. So good thing I'm happy with this cam. So we might be keeping these. I have a set of high performance cams that I might be swapping out in this car. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll get there when we get there. Now on this one, remember there's oil on here, so you'll see a gold color on it. But same thing, the lobes on this thing look great. I don't see any overheating. So just put your finger through it and see if you see anything odd, but I don't see anything bad. No scoring, no scratching. I'm very, very pleased with this cam as well. So put it on the side, set it and forget it. So the next thing is what we have to inspect are the lifters. Your cam chain. Whenever you guys do a rebuild on a head, don't reuse your chain, okay? But keep it here for reference as a reminder. Now, one thing people got to understand, there's one lifter on this entire head that's actually gets abused the most. All right? Now, which lifter do you guys think on this head is the one that gets abused the most? Okay? Besides intake and exhaust. Okay? Ronnie said lifter number 2, banging. 2 center. Oh, good man. Good job, Jason. Number 2 in the center. That is correct. That is the lifter that gets the most abuse out of any 1.8T head. We're going to pop it out right now so you guys can see this. And this actually has signs of abuse. And I'll show you. All right, guys. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see there's a round spot on the top of that lifter. Now, if you run your finger across it, if it's smooth, that means whoever owned this car originally drove it like a grandma and never floored it, because this doesn't have the typical lifter divot that pretty much coincides with a bad lifter. I'm impressed, very, very impressed, because this lifter is actually reusable, 100% reusable. Very, very cool. Now you have to understand when you do your head, each lifter has a home. They are mated again for life to their specific spot. So what do you do in this scenario where you want to pull them all out, but you don't want to mix them? What would you guys do? Tell me. And if you hear ticking for Banging is on point right now to mark them. But what's another option? Because what's going to happen is that they're going to sit out for a while, and then, I mean, they're covered in oil, but the oil will run down and will dry up. So Jason, line them up with the cams. Very, very good. But what will happen if they tend to dry out, if you're going to keep this engine, say, 2 to 3 months down the road before you even finish building the head? What other thing would you suggest? Marking them would be very smart. And I would mark them in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, you know, all 12. So, well, we're tearing down the head, so we can't put them back in. We're not done tearing down this head. We only got the cams off. We still got to pull the valves out. What you do, get yourself a Tupperware that you don't need, okay? So a nice big Tupperware. Fill it up with oil, about 1 inch or ½ inch of oil, and line them up in the order that you took them off inside the Tupperware, so they're always coated in oil. Now, if you're concerned about if they do mix up, dry them all off really quick, and then mark each one 1 through 12 on the intake side, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, so 1 through 8 on the exhaust side, and you leave them in a container with oil. Reason being, these have to be in oil at all times. When you get them brand new, they're covered in oil. They're actually sealed, and they have oil, a special coating on them, so they don't tarnish. Because when these suckers come out, I mean, they come out flawlessly, and they have to be soaked in oil at all times. If not, they will damage and scuff, and that's the end of pretty much that sucker, and then it'll end up overheating, causing problems, so stuff like that. So give me a second. Hey, look, ask a question. Hey, sorry for butting in, but I got my stage 2 in from Boost, but now I'm having misfires. Any suggestions? I'm thinking plugs, has new plugs. Well, hey, see, well, misfires have a lot of reasons why you can have some weird issues. Number one, misfires can happen due to vacuum leaks, boost leaks, timing, can be due to an old engine, bad compression. Geez, where else can you get misfires from? Bad plugs, cheap plugs, incorrect plugs, a coil pack, a bad cam sensor. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you can get that. So for, hey, look at AC130, go down the line, go from cheapest to most expensive until you figure out the problem. Another thing that will cause this, a failing O2 sensor will do it as well, but it won't throw a code, so be careful. Symptoms of a bent crank. Easy for get this channel. The car will turn on, you'll drive it fine. If you park it, and it won't crank over anymore. You'll crank it, and then eventually it'll crank back on. That's a symptom of a bad crank position sensor. If the valve cover is seeping oil into the spark plugs, galleys, that's another thing you'll have. Yes, Joe, the car can go into limp mode as well. Yeah, I mean, that if it takes forever to crank over, you probably have a bad crank position sensor. Well, spark plugs. Ooh, this is kind of a thing that people get involved, and there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of ideas, myths and truths. Okay. Since we're going to chill here for a minute, I'm fine with that. I'll take a break. Myths and stuff, okay? I will tell you this right now. Myths about spark plugs and coil packs. All right, guys. I'm gonna get you guys face to face here. All right. Oh, a little bit more. All right. Myths about coil packs and spark plugs. Number one, stock or 2.0T coil packs will not give you more performance. Period. Okay? Changing your spark plug material, like going from iridium to platinum to copper, will not give you more performance. Period. Right? Those are your myths and junk. Okay? Stop reading what people tell you because no one knows. Why? Because none of it's real. Okay? End of that. So if someone says, oh, put 2.0T coil packs because you'll get more performance, bullshit. Okay? BS. You get nothing different. That's the end of that. Don't ask because I'm done with that. All right? Number two, truths about coil packs and spark plugs. Coil packs or coil on plug on a Mark IV, 2.0 or 1.8, doesn't matter. Buy 2.0T because it's cheaper. So only reason why you get a 2.0T coil pack because it's actually cheaper than a Mark IV 1.8T coil pack. That is it. Okay? Spark plugs. NGK, period. Okay? Do not buy anything else other than NGK. Now, OEM specifies NGK laser platinum spark plugs to be gapped at 2.8 or 3.2 max. That's it. If you're tuned or performance on your car with a bigger turbo, better fueling, we use copper spark plugs, NGK, BK, okay, BK7RE, I believe, or BKERE. I forgot the model number. I think it's BK7RE. Okay. Those are copper spark plugs. Now, those spark plugs are for tuned engines because they're colder spark plugs. They're one range colder than OEM, meaning it will produce a hotter spark for cars that use more fuel. We use a smaller gap, a 2.8 gap, on those specific spark plugs. Reason behind this is it allows for a hotter burn so your fuel burns more efficiently. Doesn't give you more performance, okay? These are legitimate facts, been dyno tuned over and over and over. Does not make a difference, okay? There are people that will suggest otherwise because, like this guy says, will make your idle a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, you're running a better spark. Doesn't mean you're getting performance. You're just running, you're burning all your fuel. But you should be having better fuel already if everything else in your car is working correctly. So if you're not burning all your fuel and you're using stock stuff, there's a problem with your car. Okay? These cars are super old. I'm sorry, bang, not 2.8, but 0.28 or 0.32. Correction. Okay, sorry. Thank you for that, banging. That's the only reason why we go to copper. And number two, the only other reason why we go to copper, it's legitimately $10 or $12 for a set of plugs versus $44 for a set of plugs. I'm going to go cheap because that's cheap. That's it. There's no other reason why you guys need to get anything else. Get it through your fat heads. Get Get out of Google, get out of anything. There's no other reasons. These are legitimate facts, and that is it. Okay? So I'm done with coil packs and spark plugs. We're done with that. Thank you for that. Let's get back to working on the head. You're welcome, everybody. Hopefully that clears out a lot of stuff. Yes, Joe. Copper plugs do require more frequent replacements. Every 6,000 to 10,000 miles, they have to be replaced. But again, I can fork out $12 every couple months versus $44. I'm fine with that. You know, I can scrape a couple bucks every now and then, save it. You know, you spend more money over time. I agree, but it's just more comfort for me, honestly. So back to the cam lifters. We're gonna make a little house for them. Gotta make a space for them right now. So I'm gonna go get my Tupperware that I don't no longer need, and we're gonna fill it with oil, and then we're gonna put them aside. All right, give me a second. I can give you some answers on the front mount intercooler. Will do. Jason, that is true. You'll get all the extra horsepower with all that. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, back. So here's my little Tupperware containers here that I'm no longer going to care for. So remember, we go left to right, or back to front. Same way that it is on the engine, that you lay out everything so it's in correct order. I want to do, okay, so let me answer Saul's question first. I want to do a front mount intercooler. Any suggestions? Well, you can do a cheap eBay intercooler. That's fine, 200 bucks. It'll get you going. But why do you want to do a front mount intercooler? Do you have a tune? Do you have a bigger turbo? Do you have appropriate mods for a front mount intercooler? For Jason, yes. LOL on that. So, any other questions, guys? Feel free. So we're going to take out the lifters while you guys ask away. Remember, the lifters, for axle, I use 880cc injectors for my turbo setup. I used to run 1,000, but it worked out better working with a smaller smaller CC injector because the brand of injector was more controllable versus going to a 1000 cc. Let's see. What intercooler did I run for my big turbo? I have a full-on for Axle. I have a full-on custom intercooler that I had a shop create for me. So Trent thought my turbo was a KO4 hybrid when I've been trying to explain to him that it's not. I've been having issues where I lose power at the 5K. Sent him pictures of the size of a picture of size comparison. Find the serial number on that turbo. All right, get this channel. Axle, yes, I had all custom piping made on my car. So between my big turbo and KO3, now he says it is a big T. What would a tune for a KO4 hybrid compared to a big tune causing issues? Yes, they're not correct. You have to have a proper tune for a specific turbo. Every turbo is different. Every tune is different for every specific turbo. My tune from Trent took 3 to 4 reflashes until we got it right because I had to do a lot of logging. That's the world of going to bigger turbo. It is what it is. I'm actually gonna go like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How much did it cost to fab it? About $600, I think, plus parts. So I spent about $1,000 for my intercooler setup, if that's what your question is. After it was all said and done. So here's this. This is the intake side. Now we're going to work on the exhaust side. Now by doing this and then taking it to a machine shop, you'll save yourself a lot of money because they don't have to tear down your engine and all that. They just got to refresh it for you. So you save a lot of money doing this, prepping it for a shop. Yeah, no, definitely doing suspension is a good idea on these cars since suspension goes bad pretty quick on these cars. Yeah, if you're getting like pops and stuff, that's your axle failing. let's see here. I forgot how to take this off. I know you're supposed to hit them with a hammer and they pop off in a specific manner, but I totally forgot. I'm drawing a complete blank again. That's all that's left is just the valves and the stems, the valves to come out. Let's see. What am I drinking? I'm actually just drinking just Clamato by itself, nothing else. Yes, I am a weirdo. How's Filbert? Doing good. Doing super good. No, just Clamato by itself. I know I'm a weirdo, but it's good. Mm. Okay. Give me a second here, guys. So for Axel, did I rebuild the tranny or did I keep it stock? No, the tranny is fully built. Let's see here. For Saul, would you port and polish that 1.8T? Of course I would port and polish this head. If you go to a bigger turbo, it's kind of a no-brainer that you need to go port and polish. This just allows for more flow, so faster spool. For banging, when are you going back to Best Buy? July 6th, July 12th, I think, around that time. Axel, what did I do to the tranny? Well, I took it to the shop in El Cajon, and I had the gears, the transmission, cryo hardened, so makes them stronger to hold up to about 600 horsepower. And then I added a Quaife limited differential into it, so I don't have the one wheel peel out, and I actually have better control when you're driving. I have a stage 2 ACT clutch. And that's pretty much it for the transmission. Thank you, Monroe. Thank you. You have yourself a good night as well. What's the difference between O2J and O2M? Well, O2J is 5-speed, O2M is 6-speed. That's the difference. That's correct, Axel. Cryo and LSD will definitely hold 600, possibly more if you put like a girdle, put a girdle restraint on it. I would probably do, I don't know, some other stuff, but yeah, it'll hold up that much. And a 5-speed is actually stronger than a 6-speed, by the way. They're way more reliable. That's for sure. And they're cheaper to build. You can build a 5-speed all day. Probably $2 to $3 grand. For my tranny setup, I ended up spending about $2,600, I think, for the whole build. Maybe a little bit more, could be wrong. Give me a quick second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, I'm back. Let's see here. On my little, I knew I needed my magnetic pickup to get these valves out. So here's a cool trick. Yeah, banging just rods, T-Jerk. You just need rods and a proper rebuild and a proper machine shop job, and that's it. Rods are easy for 400 to 500 horsepower. If you're looking for just 270, do a GT28. A GT28 will get you to 250, 300 horsepower all day with no issues. You're supposed to use a magnetic pickup, push down into it, and it comes right out. But I need a smaller magnet. That's the problem. Come on. Give me a second, guys. I got to figure this out really quick, okay? Bear with me. All right, guys, give me a minute, and I'll help you out, okay? All right, found what I needed. See? Patience. Patience is key. I just got to find the socket to do it right. Give me a second, all right? Still got to find a good socket. All right, here you are. Make sure you put the magnetic pickup on the side, and then supposed to give it a good whale, but aye. Only the best luck today. Try a different method. Give me a second here. All right, so give me a minute, guys. I'm trying to figure this out because this is supposed to pop right off, and it's not, obviously. Not working the way I want it to. Gotta be careful not to damage the walls here. Okay, that's what it did. Let's see here. Ay, ay. No luck today, guys. Well, I'm going to give up on that. I'll just have the shop do it. The trick is you're supposed to put a magnetic pickup right on here. You pop in a socket that fits in there. Not too snug. Okay. You're supposed to get extension of some sort. Push down into the valve. And the little locking channel is supposed to come off as you put it in, and that's pretty much it. So, didn't work out. Whatever. I'm kind of over it. I'll just have my machine shop take them out and put them back in. Anyways, I've got to get the new valves in anyway, so not a big deal. But let's head on over and talk some more car. Pretty much, you figured out how to take the. I showed you how to take the cams off, take everything else off around the head. I wish I could show you how to take out the intake and exhaust valves, but I don't have the appropriate tools to do it 100%. So I'm sorry, definitely sorry. For axle, I do not run an N75. I run a manual boost controller. Actually, a two-stage digital boost controller from, I think it's AEM. No, from Greddy. This just allows me, for Jason, I'll try that. Let me try that really quick. Be right back. I thought it was a dead blow. Nope. Try without the magnetic pickup. Ha! Genius! Thank you, sir. Perfect. Exactly what we needed to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. So these are the locking guides. That's your retaining clip. These are super important. Keep those. Just dump them in here. They don't need to be in any specific order. Just dump them in there. Use your magnetic pickup. Excuse me. To get the spring out, and I'll show you that in just a minute. That's your spring. Again, they're not in any specific order. These do not matter as much. I'm actually going to put these in a baggie so I don't lose them. And then once you do all that, slide your head over, push down into the valve. Now, when people tell you about a burned valve or a bad valve, I'll show you some signs of a bad valve, or a burned one to be exact, or it's on its way to be bad. So I learned something new today. Thank you, guys. So you can see all the carbon buildup on that. Not bad. It's really thick, but it's not that bad. But back here, it's starting to build carbon. And so if that means the seal itself is on its way out. Not a really good job. So just going bad. So we're going to get a baggie for all these springs and retaining clips. These don't matter the order they come out of at all. So repeat the process. Hit it nice and hard with a good whack. Should come right out. Again. Come right out. I gotta get these out of the way. I don't want these to slide around too much. Then I'll lose the order they came out of. Front to back, back to front. No. Here we go, back to front. Out of the way. All right. I don't know. I mean, I don't care for the monsoon system. I just replace it, upgrade. For axle, my N75 was tuned out, so I don't need it. I don't have to even plug it in. It's actually just hidden. Remember to not lose or misplace any of these little parts. They're super important for your build, okay, guys? Super, super important. If not, you're going to buy stuff. You don't like buying stuff. Yeah, I don't know anything about the pack harness. I never used them before, so I can't tell you if you can or can't use that. I've never kept a factory radio in any of my Mark IVs longer than 2 weeks, just so you know. I'm a car audio guy, so I have tons of car audio in my house, ready for a new car whenever I need one. I just don't like factory stuff. Not a fan. Ooh, wow. This one was definitely bad. Interesting. See, it's starting to get carbon buildup inside the actual head. That's a failing valve. So that has to get redone for sure. Yeah, the stem seal has got to be replaced. Probably that stem seal went bad. All right, that's one side. Started on the next side. Need something with a little more balls. Nice. That's a really nice setup, Jason. Very impressed. This one's a little bit harder. Okay, these are the intake side. And the exhaust side. Damn, Jason, I want to see that. So, what do titanium valve springs do for you? Well, I'll explain. All right. So these are just your standard steel springs, and they have, like a suspension, they have a very specific spring rate for going down and up. Titanium is a harder material. So when you have a titanium valve spring, this spring is harder to push down. And and faster to go up. Two benefits from here. Number one, holds compression better. You can rock actually better cams. You cannot upgrade your cams on stock valve springs. Period. Reason why, a thing called floating a valve. Okay? And I'll show you what that means. Your car is spinning so fast, right? So in, out, intake, exhaust, blah, blah, blah. So on a high performance car, with, I say you slap in a cam or you just put some obscure amount of power, what's going to happen, instead of this valve going in and out, it stays open, what we call floating, because the amount of revolutions that you're going on the engine is so fast, this cannot keep up with it going in and out. So what happens, you float it. Ooh, this thing's floating. Oh no, I can't close and open. Your piston goes up, kaboom, bent a valve, end of your motor. You slap on a titanium spring or a harder spring. Now this thing is like bam, bam. You got to upgrade the valves. That's why you can't use stock valves when you upgrade your valve springs. This thing's slapping the crap out of the head. So, because that spring is so much harder. So it goes down harder with force, goes up with force. But you're spinning so fast, this is doing its job. Intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. And it's doing its job 100%. Now you can slap on a more aggressive cam and not worry about your cam floating and failing, pretty much blowing up your engine. That's why you use upgraded valves, and that's why you use upgraded valve springs. AKA, we call this a valve train. Exhaust valves need a little bit more love. But they're coming out. Sorry guys for the noise, but it's got to get done. Two more. All done. All right, guys. We're almost 100%. We're like 90% done right now. A little bit left to go. I'm going to put the head on its side right here. You guys can see that. Now pretty much push all the valves out. Now the intake valves are actually not damaged. Technically they're reusable, but this is a big turbo setup. We're not going to reuse anything on this head. So nose goes. All right. Now the whole head is disassembled, fully disassembled now. So here's your 20 valve head. Now there's things you got to look for when you take them apart 100%. There's a couple little important factors you got to look at. And what you need to look at is your chamber and all these little spots around the valves. Check for any cracks. They're actually known for cracking. I actually have a head right now in my garage, which, yes, intake gasket, exhaust gasket came off. And you need to inspect them. Make sure there's no crud going or cracks in here. But this head is looking very, very good. Now I'm going to show you something that a lot of people don't show you, and it's pretty cool. Give me a second here. On heads in general, so with 1.8T, when you're actually doing your big turbo build and you want to start inspecting and learning how to inspect a head, aka your block as well, look at where your valve cover gasket sits. This actually gives you a lot of information to tell you. Number one, right off the bat, there is no failure between cylinders. Because if there was a bad head gasket, you'd see it black inside here and these little lines, but they're clean. They're spotless, actually. Number two, there's no pitting on here. That means there's no coolant leaks going from one side to another. So that means the head gasket has been doing its job really, really well. You'll see some black markings here. This isn't burnt. This is not carbon. This is actually the gasket material. So not a big deal. Here's the intake gasket. But if you look at the passages here, and if you look at the coolant passages here, there's no severe pitting. Very, very good indicator that the original owner kept this engine very well maintained. Constant oil changes, using OEM coolant, because if you use green coolant, this would be pitted from balls to the walls like craters on the moon. Right now, not the case. The surface on here is actually very nice. I don't see any crazy pitting or scoring or anything like that. I'm very, very pleased with the condition of this head right now as it sits. So hopefully it's not warped. Hopefully there's no other damages to it. But so far, it's looking very nice. There's stem seals here that I need to go have them replaced. Whenever a head gets rebuilt, you got to replace these little seals that are inside here. You have to remove them with a special tool. But I don't see any major flaw besides that one cylinder that had a shitty valve spring. So we're going to have those all hot tanked and cleaned. But I'm very, very pleased with this head right now so far. But that's a full 1.8T AWP head teardown. Big thanks to the guy who gave me the pointer on using the hammer and socket to pop those out. Super quick, got it all done. Very, very pleased with it. That's all taken care of. That's it for tonight, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this live session at P&Challenge Garage. Hopefully you guys learned something tonight. And hopefully you take this with you and use it. Use it for future reference. It does help for future diagnostics. And it does help for, for your guys if you guys are going to start building a big turbo 1.8. Next time you see this build, it's going to be hot tanked and ready to be assembled. So we might do a live feed going to my machine shop. If you guys haven't seen my machine shop videos, I highly recommend going to my last season or the season before, checking that out. They should walk you through the entire machine shop process. It's freaking cool. It's very awesome because it definitely shows everything. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Much love. And as always, if you see a fellow dubber, give them a thumbs up because you know what they're going through when they own an older car and owning a VW. All right. Have a good night, and I appreciate everyone. And as always, we're going to break, fix, and repeat. Peace out.